Your idea of love was never yours. It was planted, like a seed in soft soil, by lullabies, stories, and screens.
You have been lied to since the first lullaby. They sang of love as a lull, a balm, a clean white flame that would descend upon your life like grace. They whispered that somewhere, someone walks the earth with a key forged for the locked door of your loneliness, and that the meeting of key and lock is destiny, not strategy. You nodded, half asleep, and let the myth seep into your marrow. Now you wake in a world where marriages crumble like stale bread, where dating apps scroll like slot machines, where the very word love is traded like counterfeit currency, and you still cling to the myth. Why? Because the myth is softer than the mirror. Look closer. Love, as society sells it, is a perfume sprayed upon a wound. The fragrance dazzles, but the flesh beneath festers. You want the perfume because you fear the stench, yet the wound remains. It always remains. The Greeks called Eros a god of madness. The medieval poets made him a knight. Hollywood gilded him into a happily ever after. But the god has not changed, only his mask has. Under every serenade there is a drumbeat of appetite, and appetite is never polite. Appetite is claws, teeth, and will to power, Nietzsche's old, inconvenient truth. He warned you, but you misread him. You called him cynical, misogynistic, loveless. No, he was sober. He saw that men and women circle one another like rival philosophers, each hungry to confirm a private thesis about worth, each terrified of being refuted. The man offers devotion, but what he truly extends is a mirror in which he appears heroic, needed, absolved. The woman offers tenderness, but what she truly extends is an invisible thread, silky yet unbreakable, with which she may guide the mirror's angle. Both swear allegiance to love. Both bargain for a throne. You protest. I do not play games. Of course you do. You were born onto the board. Your earliest cries summoned caretakers. You learned that vulnerability bends others to your need. Later, you discovered that praise extracts affection, that silence can punish, that a single tear can conquer a fortress of logic. These are not sins. They are moves. The tragedy is not that we play. The tragedy is that we pretend we do not. Watch the courting ritual. The man strides, shoulders broad with borrowed confidence, wallet eager, compliments rehearsed. He speaks of books he never finished, values he never tested, dreams he never dared. He hopes the performance will purchase affection, and with affection, absolution. If she loves him, then perhaps the hollowness inside will hush. She, meanwhile, has studied a subtler calculus. Centuries of exclusion from swords and Senate floors taught her to master terrain unseen. She will tilt her head just so, laugh at the calibrated pitch, reveal a fragment of vulnerability, enough to stir his protective myth, but never enough to forfeit the high ground of mystery. She does not deceive. She adapts. The powerless must refine the art of invisible power or perish. Nietzsche named this dance war. Not bombs and blood, but psychological siege. A fortress may fall to a whisper more surely than to a cannon. So lovers trade whispers, flattery, concern, promises of forever. Yet beneath each whisper coils a clause. Make me feel the way I want to feel, or I will withdraw the music. This is not romance. It is conditional tribute. You flinch at the word war. You prefer partnership, chemistry, soulmate. But do the numbers comfort you? Divorce rates spiking? Adultery normalized? Entire industries of therapy built to mend hearts broken on the wheel of expectation. If love were truly a temple of purity, why so many ruins? The rubble testifies, We are less pilgrims than conquerors, and the temple is built atop a battlefield. Consider the honeymoon phase. Neurologists will tell you it is a flood of dopamine and oxytocin, nature's bribe to ensure procreation. Philosophers will tell you it is projection. You paint your ideals upon the beloved's blank canvas, then kneel before your own artwork. You do not see the person. You see the story you are desperate to inhabit. You are Narcissus bending over the pond, enamored of your reflection, shimmering upon another's face. And when the water stills, when the true visage emerges, flaws, fears, unedited humanity, you recoil, claim betrayal, and search for another pond. You call this heartbreak. Nietzsche calls it education. The veil lifts. The will to power stands naked. You can either curse the light or study the anatomy. Most curse, they retreat into cynicism, swipe right again, write another love song as though repetition might conjure truth. They forget that cynicism is still a mask, an inverted romanticism that says, because love hurt me, love must be worthless. But love is not worthless. Love is merely not what you were told. Strip away the myth and see the architecture. Love is a pact between two sovereign egos, each armed, each haunted, each yearning to be seen, yet terrified of being known. The pact says, I will lower my shield if you lower yours. But shields are heavy. Arms grow weary. Suspicion hovers like a vulture. The moment one shield dips, the other may strike. Thus, trust becomes the most radical gamble in the human casino. Women know this gamble intimately. Denied direct power for millennia, they became artisans of influence. They learned to read the micro-expression, to steer the conversation, to plant ideas like seeds in spring. They were told their virtue lay in softness, so they wielded softness as steel. To survive, they perfected an intelligence of the invisible, the emotional climate, the unspoken hierarchy, the leverage of affection. Nietzsche did not scorn them. He saluted them as masters of a battlefield men seldom perceive. Men, conversely, were taught that conquest is honorable, but vulnerability is shameful. They charge, banners high, hearts armored, until the silence of their own unmet tenderness deafens them. They kneel before love, hoping for absolution, yet they cannot confess the depth of their hunger. They fear that if she sees the void inside, she will flee. So they puff, they posture, they purchase. When the performance cracks, they call her manipulative for using the very strings they draped around their own necks. And so the game loops. Idealization, projection, disappointment, blame. Each loop deepens the scar tissue around the heart until feeling itself becomes suspect. You wonder why people ghost, why they choose pornography over intimacy, why they drown in work or scroll themselves numb. It is easier to anesthetize than to confront the mirror. Yet the mirror waits. Nietzsche drags you before it. He says, behold the creature you truly are. Will, appetite, cunning, tenderness, terror, all swirling in the same bloodstream. He does not condemn the swirl, he condemns the lie that denies it, the lie that calls desire sinful or love saintly, instead of admitting that both spring from the same volcanic core. There will be nights when the old myth whispers. You will yearn for the simplicity of surrender, the narcotic of being adored without question. You will remember songs that promised forever and crave the lullaby. In those moments, recall the ruins. Recall the wreckage of unions built on blind faith. Recall the faces of friends who drowned in projections. Let their ghosts guard you from the opiate of illusion. Then turn to your partner, if partner you have, and speak the unspeakable. Say, I know I sometimes love the reflection of myself I find in your eyes more than I love you. I know I sometimes weaponize silence, withdraw warmth to bend your will. I know you do the same. Let us not pretend otherwise. Watch how the air quivers with risk and possibility. For in that moment of mutual confession, the war pauses. Two generals lower their flags and meet as human beings, trembling yet unarmed. Will the truce last? Nothing lasts. Nietzsche reminds us that becoming is perpetual. The pact must be renewed day by day, word by word. Vigilance is the price of freedom. But what is the alternative? To sleepwalk through serial fantasies, to wake each decade amid fresh ruins, blaming fate or gender or the stars. Numbered choose the harder path. Some will call you cold. They will say that to dissect love is to kill it, as if romance were a fragile butterfly whose wings crumble under scrutiny. But love is not a butterfly. It is a phoenix. It burns, dies, and resurrects stronger when fed the oxygen of honesty. Dissection does not kill it. Denial does. And what of tenderness? Does clarity abolish it? On the contrary, when manipulation is named, tenderness becomes gift, not currency. When projection is pierced, affection becomes sight, not blindness. Imagine touching another's face, knowing precisely who they are, illusions stripped, power acknowledged. The touch may tremble, but it will not lie. That tremor is the pulse of authenticity. Do you fear you will lose magic? Magic that cannot survive daylight is trickery. The real enchantment is to look into another's eyes, see the swirling galaxies of hunger and hope, and still whisper, yes. To know that betrayal is possible, yet choose trust. To know that departure is possible, yet choose presence. This is the alchemy of adult love, risk transmuted into intimacy. Nietzsche spoke of amor fati, love of one's fate. Extend this to love of another's fate, unvarnished. Love their trajectory, not your storyboard. Love their autonomy, even when it diverges from your script. This is not surrender, it is respect. And respect is the only soil in which passion can grow, without strangling its own roots. So where does this leave you, listener, wanderer, dreamer of impossible embraces? It leaves you at the threshold of a door only you can open. Behind the door is no guarantee, no fairy tale, no rescue. Behind the door is the workshop where love is forged in the furnace of self-awareness. The hammer is dialogue, the anvil is courage. You may step through or retreat. Retreat offers comfort, applause, familiar suffering. Step through and you enter a wilderness where every gesture matters, every silence echoes, every promise weighs like iron. But step through, and you also taste a freedom so raw it tastes like blood and starlight mingled. Do not ask me for a map. Maps are for tourists. This is pilgrimage. Pack lightly. Honesty, curiosity, a willingness to be wrong. Leave behind the suitcase of entitlement. And remember, the enemy is not the opposite sex, nor romance, nor even illusion itself. The enemy is the refusal to wake. I will not soothe you with hope. Hope is a lullaby, and you have slept enough. I will offer instead a challenge that will follow you into every embrace. The next time you say, I love you, ask yourself, do I love the person before me? Or do I love the version of myself I glimpse in their eyes? Dare to answer without flinching. If you find that your love is mostly mirror, have the courage to shatter it. If you find a human face behind the glass, have the courage to meet it without armor. This, and only this, is the beginning of true power. To stand unmasked in the presence of another unmasked soul, and to call that naked encounter love. The rest is perfume on a wound. Let the wound breathe. Let it bleed, clot, scar, and remember, a scar is stronger than unbroken skin. So may your love, once broken and reborn, be stronger than the myth you were sold. Now the question that will haunt you long after this monologue fades: when the mirror cracks tonight and the silver backing peels away, will you chase another reflection, or will you finally dare to see?